Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are completely dismantling those wild Hollywood stereotypes of the private security industry. Forget the action movies, forget the whole rent-a-cop trope. We're pulling back the curtain to reveal the heavily regulated, honestly pretty complex reality behind the uniform. It's a world defined by strict legal boundaries, specialized skills, and an immense amount of responsibility.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the private security boom, compare the myth of their authority versus reality, check out their diverse roles, uncover the true security arsenal, and finally, dive into the ethical burden they carry. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the private security boom. We're kicking things off with a pretty shocking revelation about who is actually out there patrolling our spaces. Just wrap your head around this massive disparity for a second. In Ontario alone, back in 2023, there were over 150,000 licensed private security guards. Compare that to roughly 26,000 police officers. I mean, wow, right? Private guards absolutely dwarf the police in numbers. As public resources face more and more strain, this rapidly expanding private sector is stepping up to fill the gap, literally everywhere from your local mall to massive industrial parks. Now, with a workforce that massive, you've kind of got to wonder, what exactly is their core mandate? Well, it boils down to what the industry calls the 3 Ps. That's protecting people, property, and proprietary information. Whether they're, say, deterring a shoplifter or stopping a major corporate data leak, every single duty they have ties right back to protecting those 3 vital assets. Moving right along to Section 2, authority, myth versus reality. Let's strip away that whole badge misconception, shall we? There is so much public confusion about this. Listen, a peace officer, like a city cop, has wide sweeping powers granted by public law to preserve the peace, seize evidence, you name it. But a security guard? They operate under private contract. Their authority rests almost entirely on property law, specifically things like the Trespass to Property Act and the exact same citizens' arrest powers granted to you and me. They aren't out there enforcing public law. Their power is strictly 100% tied to the property they're hired to protect. And hey, this distinction isn't just some academic technicality, it's a hard legal boundary. Implying or claiming to have actual police powers is a serious offense under the Private Security and Investigative Services Act, or the PSISA. Blurring that line? Yeah, that violates the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Doing so can lead to massive fines or, completely losing their license. Because their authority is tied so strictly to the property, post orders are basically the lifeblood of a guard's day-to-day work. Think of these as site-specific, contractually required rulebooks detailing exactly what they can and cannot do. And if a guard goes rogue and fails to follow these precise boundaries, well, it's not just a bad day at the office. It can expose both the guard and their employer to absolutely massive civil liability. All right, on to Section 3, diverse roles and sectors. Because this strict legal framework actually builds into a huge variety of jobs. The industry goes way, way beyond just someone standing by a door. The environment completely dictates the required skill set. In retail, it's all about highly visible theft deterrence. In a corporate tower, that's strict access control and guarding intellectual property. But then look at healthcare. That requires intense de-escalation skills in places like psychiatric wards or busy ERs. And on the extreme end of the spectrum, you've got cash escorts needing specialized tactical training and actual firearms licenses. It's just an incredibly diverse field. Now, across all those different sectors, guards generally operate under one of 2 employment models. Contract security means working for an agency that basically parachutes you in to protect different clients. On the flip side, in-house or proprietary security means you are directly employed by the organization you're protecting, like, say, a university campus. This dramatically changes how deeply a guard integrates into the client's actual workplace culture. Which brings us to Section 4, the true security arsenal. It's definitely time to dismantle that outdated goon stereotype for good. What's really fascinating about modern security work is how much of the job is actually cognitive and administrative. It's not physical. Look at the core tasks: actively observing environments, politely controlling access, and carefully documenting events. Honestly, a guard's true success is measured by the incidents they prevent, just by paying attention, not the ones they have to solve with their fists. I really want to pause on this for a second, because this right here is the industry's ultimate mantra. If it's not written, it didn't happen.
Accurate, timely, and totally unbiased report writing isn't just a suggestion, it's mandatory. It is the #1 way clients are shielded from huge civil liabilities. Plus, it provides the official paper trail for police investigations or insurance claims that might pop up years down the line.
Because of this heavy reliance on documentation, a guard's most powerful tools are entirely non-physical. Tactical communication is, without a doubt, the greatest weapon they carry. Literally using words to de-escalate a volatile situation prevents the need for physical force altogether. You combine that kind of communication with a deep understanding of their legal limits and flawless report writing, boom, you've got a highly effective modern security professional. And finally, Section 5, the ethical burden. We need to slow down and really look at the heavy legal weight these folks carry.
Putting on that uniform is not something to be taken lightly. Guards have a fiduciary duty to their clients. That means an ethical lapse isn't just a simple oops moment on the job. High-risk failures like time theft, which is falsifying your patrol logs, or misusing highly confidential client info, or taking bribes, man, those can trigger immediate license revocation by the ministry, or worse, criminal charges. Total, unwavering integrity is demanded at all times. A perfect, real-world example of this integrity in action is the chain of custody. Let's walk through this super fragile legal process. When a guard finds a weapon or stolen goods, they have to meticulously document who found it, exactly where it was, when it was discovered, and every single person who touched it. If just one link, literally one link in that chain goes undocumented, the evidence becomes completely inadmissible and a criminal could just walk free. Furthermore, a guard's discretion has to remain strictly professional and entirely unbiased. Using a person's appearance, clothing, or race as a reason to stop or search them, that's not just bad practice, actually. It's a direct, serious violation of the Human Rights Code. Any bias or abuse of authority severely damages public trust in the entire industry. Not to mention, it invites massive legal consequences for the guard, their agency, and the property owner. So I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. Next time you walk into a crowded hospital, a sprawling mall, or a towering corporate high-rise, take a second. Notice the uniformed professionals quietly observing the room. Think about this hidden, highly regulated framework operating right in front of us every single day. And ask yourself, do you truly know the limits of the power protecting you? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the world around you.